Hello, hello. Hi there. Welcome in. Welcome to Cutting the Mustard. This is my show that I do on Food Talk TV at 7 Central every Thursday. Welcome to my show, Cutting the Mustard. I'm the Mustard Queen, also Taylor Rose. Most people call me Mustard Queen. And today is Pie Day. Of course. So, of course, I will be doing some sort of pie today. And chicken pot pie is kind of an easy go-to, an easy classic to do. So I will be doing that today. But I really wanted to do one with caramelized onions. And so I am caramelizing some onions right now. I typically don't like doing a whole ton of cooking before I start the show. But the show is really only an hour long. And caramelized onions take a long time. I started those like about an hour ago. And it takes a long time for the sugars to brown and the Maillard reaction to make them sweet and nutty and just, if you've ever had anything with caramelized onions versus regular onions, there's a difference. But, do not have my microphone in. I'm going to put that in now. Testing, testing, testing. Shove it in there. How is it with the mic on? Is my sound good, guys? If someone who's here can let me know. I've had issues with my mic this week. I did a live earlier today, and I was told that it was great, but if y'all tell me otherwise, then yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you. Yay! All right. And so I will be doing my pot pie today, and I'm just going to be using puff pastry for that. So it's funny. I thought about making this from scratch, but I've never made puff pastry from scratch. But I once had a friend who at the time she knew a lot more about cooking than I did. And she was showing she posted on the internet. It was her baklava, and she said that she had made it from scratch, and it was basically a brag post about her food. And then people got on her for using store-bought puff pastry, and she was just like, well, that's just so difficult to make from scratch. There is no reason why I should make it from scratch. So this recipe is scratch, even though I didn't use the puff pastry. But anyway, this was a conversation that happened years ago, but because she said that, I always assumed that puff pastry was just such a long, lengthy process, which it is kind of tedious. But it's basically you cut flour with cubed butter until it's like similar to biscuit making, where very powdery like thin, and then you add ice cold water to it and let it be a dough. And because you have all those blocks of butter in it, all you do is just like continually roll it out and fold it over. So it is a touch tedious, but I don't know, man. I just avoided making puff pastry for all these years because of that one conversation. And I got to figure out where in my life I've been doing that, like where I don't do something because I assumed it was too difficult. But anyway, I'm using store-bought puff pastry today. I will be experimenting with making my own as well, because like these sheets are expensive, which I mean, for convenience, sometimes I'll pay anything for convenience, absolutely. But if you are like me and you're making a lot of stuff that you in the past wouldn't have because you're trying to save your grocery bill a bit, yeah, absolutely. Just the price of butter and flour. So I wouldn't recommend like making a Kerrygold puff pastry. Hi, thank you all for coming in. Welcome to Cutting the Mustard. This is my show that I do on Thursdays at 7 Central. If you are not following Food Talk already, you totally should, because we do go live every single day with different food content creators. Thursday is just my day. So yep, all sorts of different people on there. You should check us out. If you miss this live and want to rewatch the whole thing, or there's a part you want to rewatch, we will post these on Facebook and YouTube. But we're on all the socials, so find us. We used to joke whenever people would ask us what socials we were on, and we're like, oh yeah, Food Talk's on all the socials. Like even 23andMe. We're even on Tinder. But yes, we are out there. And you can also go to the website, foodtalktv.com, and you can like see the recipes of the stuff that we made. So the recipes for what I'm making tonight will be on those either tomorrow or the day after. Okay. So right now I just cut this puff pastry into quarters, and then I'm also going to make my egg wash. So with this pot pie, I am just doing the top crust. I don't like doing the bottom crust. I mean, if you are really a bottom crust person, go for it. Happy for you, proud for you, but it is very it can get soggy very easily. So it's one of those things where you would, if you were doing it, you would want to blind bake it first, meaning that you just bake the bottom part of the shell, but you would also put some sort of weight in there so that way it doesn't like puff up. But yeah, it would just be a little bit more work for doing a bottom crust, but I don't feel like that extra work is worth it. But I'm just going to go ahead and set this to the side. So that way, whenever I am ready to stack this, got my puff pastry. Okay. Just making sure that when I move it, it doesn't all drop. Like, I know you guys would probably think it was funny, but I would probably be devastated that happened. And then I'll go ahead and do my egg wash real quick, and then we will get started on the filling. Little tablespoon of water. Fun way to measure water. All right. How's everyone doing today? Please let me know how you're doing. I'm just over here blabbering and cooking, but I would love it to see some comments and some conversation, because I will take over the conversation if y'all let me. Okay. All right. Should have grabbed a bigger bowl. I don't know what it is, and I'm sure that I'm not the only person who does this, where whenever you're cooking, you just grab a bowl that's too small, like that's just slightly too small, where you just want to push through it, even though it's such a tiny bowl. But I do it just about every day. Just about every time I cook, I misjudge the size of bowl I need. Like, I don't know why I don't just always grab the largest bowl every single time. We will deal with that later. All right. So let's go on over to this guy. And go. Trying to figure out the best. So why the water in the egg? So when it comes to, it's just more to extend it. You don't really need, I've done plenty of egg washes without the water. I've done plenty of egg washes with the water. It just more so gives me more product with that one egg to be able to grow all the, like it will evaporate once it's baking in the oven, but it just gives me more wash. I have done, I mean, and it's not necessarily an egg wash, but I have done milk, I've done yogurt. But yeah, beer, I've done beer. Yeah, you can pretty much wash it with so many different things just to get it the nice little shimma. But yeah, trying to figure out a good angle there. Check it on that. But yes, it's pot pie time. I'm throwing some garlic in there. I wasn't sure if I was going to add garlic or not, but totally am. All right, y'all. So my show is an hour long. The creators on Food Talk TV that do these shows were on here for an hour. Typically, I go over. And I'm pretty sure there's so many other creators where we always just go over no matter what. I don't think I'm alone in that. But today, I really want to leave right at 8 because the new season of Grey's Anatomy is on tonight. And whenever I tell people I'm excited for that, they get confused because apparently I don't strike them as a Grey's Anatomy kind of girl. But I'm in it. I'm so into it. It's got everything. My husband absolutely hates it, though. And the thing that bothers him about it is because, like, it's a medical drama series, but the part that he just really hates is just the fact that they're having a lot of these dramatic conversations while they're in surgery. And so, like, he just hates the thought of people doing surgery, but, like, focusing in on, like, their personal lives and stuff. And he just absolutely hates that. So, hi there. I am doing a chicken pot pie, but I am doing a caramelized onion one, I started without you guys. I started cooking these an hour before I came on today. Caramelized onions take some time. Sauteed onions wouldn't have been bad, but caramelized onions, you need the time, the low and slow. What I did to make these caramelized onions, these are 3 different onions. I did 2 sweet and 1 red, and then sliced them up, and I put them in here when it was cold, put the lid on, and then put it on medium-low heat and let that sit in there for about 15, 20 minutes or so. And then I took off the lid and then raised the heat a little bit. So with the closed lid, it kind of just hurries up the process a little bit. It lets the water come out of the onions, so that way we can get it to this point. Because before I can get to this point, the water has to cook out, and then the sugars are able to react with the heat and give us the Maillard reaction, which is this brown, beautifully tasting onion. Basically, the Maillard reaction is a chemical reaction with sugars and proteins and stuff that makes your food brown and delicious. Okay, what? Oh, that was an onion, or that was a piece of the garlic thing in here. So I'm gonna finish chopping up this garlic in here. So is there any other Grey's Anatomy fan in here? I'm genuinely curious, because if there isn't, I will never bring it up again. But if there is, then we might have to chat. No, a lot of my friends who did watch the show, they said that they left, or they quit watching it in the season of 2020, and I don't blame them, but I think a lot of TV shows had that problem where they had an entire season, or not 2020, 2021, where they had an entire season surrounded around the pandemic, and it was just often everyone was indoors and wearing masks. That doesn't make for great television, you know? So I feel like a lot of television shows struggled with that. Oh, thanks. You're an ER person. It has been so long since I've watched that.
Do you really have like private conversations about gossip around the?
Oh no, they meant they're an ER person, as in that's the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, not like they're an actual ER doctor. Though, if an ER doctor was in here, would that really be the thing that you would?
If there's a surgeon.
If there's a surgeon in here, how much do you talk about your marriage during surgery?
Particularly like a vital organ surgeon.
All right. So yep, caramelized onion and garlic. And I'm gonna make a little roux over here. Now here lately on my shows, I will just not measure things, and I'm always that person where I don't measure things, you know, but the past couple of weeks, my eyeballing has been off. So, and yeah, I understand that this isn't the proper way to measure flour. When you measure flour, you're supposed to scoop it into there and then scrape it over the top because it stacks differently. I'm not baking. I'm not extremely particular about this. So if I was baking, absolutely, I would be getting the spoon in there and sifting. But
Big one.
no, I had it on the kitchen table. It was on the kitchen table. Is this not the big one? Oh yeah, no.
Oh, it's big one.
Oh. That's what she said. That's what she said. Oh. Oh yeah, we are on the 20th season of Grey's Anatomy, and I am extra in love with this. Okay, so I did 1/4 cup of flour, and I'm adding a 1/4 cup of butter. But they are also going with a new showrunner this year. So the same lady that decided that it was cool to fire the actors who played April and Arizona, yeah, she's gone. She's gone. So I'm excited. I am making chicken pot pie, but I'm doing a caramelized onion pot pie. I already started with the caramelized onions, added some garlic, let that, you know, cook in there a bit. I should have melted the butter first, but it's okay. I have plenty of liquid from these onions. And I really could have let these onions go a little bit longer, but at a certain point, they do kind of become mushy. And I really wanted I still wanted the onions to be onions. I didn't want them to be onion mush. And so that's why I'm cut it off at around this point, though. adding the flour and mashing that in there didn't help my mushy case with that explanation. But thank you so much for the likes, y'all. If you are just sitting there with your hands and not sure what to do with your hands, if you could tap the screens, that really does help with Al Gore and his rhythm, you know. You can also share the live. That also really helps. You don't have friends to share it to. I get it. You can share it to me, or you can share it, or you can just copy the link. That also really helps too. Oh yeah, gifts also help. I know not everyone's a gift-giving person, but gifts are my love language.
You have gifts and you're not sure what to do with them.
Have gifts and you're not sure what to do with them? Just hand them over my way. I got you. But as I was caramelizing these onions too, I have this little thing of water over here that I was just scraping the bottom as we went. So these are just super dang flavorful, but it did take me about an hour. Even with my little trick of putting the lid on for the first 15 minutes to get the onions to sweat out more quickly. Yeah, no, that still made my onions take over an hour. But if you're like me and you're oftentimes in the kitchen, like doing things, this is kind of one of those things I do while I'm doing other things. So a lot of those tedious tasks don't feel so tedious to me just because I'm also elsewhere in my life. All right. Perfect. Butter's melted. We toasted the flour a bit. We're just not wanting it to taste like raw flour. I see that in explanations all the time. I never understood it. I know you want the flour to be at least a little cooked, but every time I read that you just want to make sure it doesn't taste like flour, it's like, it just throws me off.
Why are you using flour then?
You don't want it to taste like, yeah, exactly. Like, why are we using flour then? But no, I get it. Like, it needs to be some sort of cooked. And even when you use flour, you don't want to use it raw. So from a safety standard, I absolutely get that. Cook until the flour is no longer raw, rather than cook until it doesn't taste raw. I feel like there's a difference here. Forge, thank you. How are you? I appreciate you. Woo. Just gonna slowly stir that in. It will thicken up. It looks like mush right now. I promise it's not mush. This is about to be pot pie.
I know it's not mush.
I know it's not mush, but my husband's really good at the dad jokes over here. Pour that in. I'm kind of like writing out, because this recipe will be on the Food Talk TV website tomorrow or the next day. So be sure to look out for that. You can also go to the website and see all the other cool recipes we've done, because I have been doing Food Talk TV, y'all, for almost a year. April will be my Food Talk anniversary. So I have a year of recipes I've done. And thinking about that, it makes me want to go back and look at some of my older recipes and see if I can improve them. Or I'm just really obsessed with recipe development right now, especially with my brownie situation I had going on. If you know, you know. But I've just been finding a lot more joy in recipe testing, because prior to that, it was just more, hey, let me test it out. But I wasn't originally planning on doing this over and over again. So if I try something and it doesn't work, then it's super disappointing, right? But if you're recipe testing, you can mess up over and over and over again, and it's just fine. And you're just excited to learn stuff. And so I'm definitely leaning more into recipe development. Just so excited, because I am pretty sure I am a brownie expert after my after all my work with that. Hey there, how are you? I wasn't talking to you, Butt. The Butt is my cat. We didn't name him Butt, it just became his nickname.
I'm kind of a butt too. We're all butts. Right?
We're all butts here. every single time I take time off the stem like this, I remember I went to one of those like kitchen party things where people who are running a business that's shaped like a triangle will try and sell you stuff. But anyway, I remember I bought something to be polite. I didn't want to buy anything, but I bought something that's meant for you to like pull all of the time off there. Like there's just like a little hole and you like pull it through. But you can really do the same with a colander. But anyway, the product on the site was an herb stripper. My dad's name is Herb, and every time I saw it and used it, I just kept thinking dad stripper. And so I can't use that product anymore, but that's definitely just a me problem. Hello, welcome in. If you're just scrolling through, welcome to Food Talk. We do live cooking content every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. We are also a creator network. I keep saying agency, but it's creator network. It used to be called agency, but now it's creator network. And we have over 1,000 members of live creators that are part of our agency. It costs nothing to be in there, but it helps you learn how to be live more and just be way more educated about it. It's just awesome. So I was like one of the first 10 members on there, but now we just hit 1,000 a couple weeks ago. It's insane. And I've got time. But if you are interested in becoming part of the creator network, it's a really great network of just being able to talk to all these different creators about what they've got going on with live content. You can go to fttv.com and apply. And it's really neat just being able to have someone up your butt and telling you, how to be better. Not up their butt. That definitely an exaggeration. No. No, Kaz is a little too kind to me about not being up my butt.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh, Kaz just walked in. Of course, like as soon as I mention his name, he shows up on the screen. I'm like, oh, I was just talking about you. Okay, I feel like I've been cooking that enough. I'm going to add just a little bit of cream. A little bit of cream. A little bit. Think about a 1/4 cup. I'm just going to eyeball this. It's like 4 tablespoons. A 1/4 cup is 4 tablespoons. So if that helps you eyeball it better than eyeballing a 1/4 cup. Smaller increments are easier to judge. Oh, and the chicken. Almost forgot the chicken. And this just calls for some already cooked chicken. Mine's frozen. I do the thing where I get those giant bags of chicken quarters. The ones that are, one of those giant bags of chicken quarters. And we'll cook the chicken and then we'll shred it into meat and freeze it. First I freeze it on a tray and then I put it in a bag so that way for dinner I can just like throw in chicken and I already have chicken ready. And then I'll make stock and stuff with the bones and the skin. But what my husband's doing now, we do this every week. Not every week, sometimes every other week. Because this will be like full of chicken for that $8 bag. But this is the first week we're going to try grilling the chicken first. He really wanted to grill. So this is about 2 cups of chicken. And I use it the same way I would have used like a rotisserie chicken. Just it takes a little bit longer for it to heat up. You're on Team Joe and Link getting together. Oh, man. I am too. I feel like, though, they took too long to get there. But I am right there with you. Right there with you.
There's like 10 legs in this thing.
10 legs?
Yeah, for like $8. It's a heaping bowl of chicken.
Yeah. You said that one was $10?
Yeah, it was $8.
$8?
$8 for 10 legs.
Yeah, 10 legs of chicken. And that's going to be so much food. But yeah, if you are looking for ways to cut on your grocery the budget, that's one of my favorite things I've done here lately is getting one of those, cooking them all at once, shredding the chicken, freezing it, and then making stock and stuff. Huge fan of that. Like, this is probably my 6th time I've cooked dinner with that bag of chicken I've had. Okay, so in here, I just, I caramelized onions. It's 3 onions that I caramelized. I did that an hour before my show started. Takes a long time to do that. Sauteed where it's fine as well. But then I made a roux with a 1/4 cup flour, 1/4 cup butter, mixed that in there, added some thyme. Oh yeah, there's a clove of garlic in there too. About 1.5 cups of chicken stock, and then about a 1/4 cup of heavy cream. And this is what my little pot pie situation looks like now. I think that's ready for oven time. I think that's ready. So, ooh, almost elbowed my drink. That would have been a fun show distraction. Okay. So for my pot pie, I wasn't sure what container I wanted to use. I decided to use my cast iron skillet, but the cast iron, it needs to be preheated whenever you're baking with it. I mean, it doesn't need to. You can still cook with it, but it doesn't, cast iron doesn't do a really good job at heating up quickly, right? Like, it's pretty even as far as the cooking goes, but it's not, it won't get to that point evenly. So I preheated the oven with the cast iron in there. So very, very hot. Hey there, Kaz. No vegetables. Oh, you know what? I did put, it's caramelized onions. And I was thinking, thank you for reminding me, because I was thinking that same thing. Was I didn't really use any vegetables in there, but I also wasn't feeling the whole peas and carrots and stuff. I wasn't feeling it. And so I figured something fancier would be some arugula. Arugula. Y'all, I am straight up. How is it that every single time I make a recipe, I am known as the mustard queen and all this, and I almost always forget mustard? Kaz, you are amazing. Thank you so much for the gifts. Y'all, if you are able to, we love gifts. It really helps us out here. Keeps helping us make content, because we do go live every single day with food content. Welcome to Cutting the Mustard, my show, on Thursdays at 7 Central. Almost completely forgot. Ooh, almost grabbed that. This was just in the oven. Here, I'm going to stir this in, let that cook for a second. But mustard, I love using mustard in cooking, and I'll use it for these type of roux situations a lot, just because it does, it cuts that richness a bit. It doesn't make it just cream. It's not so fatty and in your face about it. Mustard really helps with that. And if you are following my content, you should also know that brownies do a really great job balancing food as well. I've been really working on my mustard brownies. I'm going to let that cook for just another minute. Remove that in here. But it's just such a really great way to balance food as well. Whenever you're making a dish, you do want it to be balanced. You don't want it to be too much of one flavor, unless, of course, you do want it to be too much of that flavor. But oftentimes you're focusing on balance. And so we're thinking about salt, sweet, sour, heat, but bitter often gets left out of that conversation, right? Because no one's ever thinking, I wish my food was more bitter, right? Nobody does that. Nobody does that. And so, but adding some bitter really does help with those balances, even if you don't notice. So, huge fan of mustard in cooking. Huge fan. I think that's plenty. Even though the arugula isn't super cooked down, it will cook down more as it is in the oven. Here, let's. Now, if y'all were on my show or with me on my show last week, I did a braise situation where I was sauteing onions, and I said many times that it wasn't a caramelized onion dish because I didn't have the time to caramelize those onions. But then it was a braise where it went in the oven and it was in there for like an hour. But after this braise was done, they were basically caramelized. It was amazing. So I just wanted to point that out. Oh yes, chocolate is bitter. I think with the mustard though, it's more about the sweet chocolate balance. But the whole chocolate being bitter thing is why I think that it goes together, or like that they're similar flavors. Happy Pie Day! I am making chicken pot pie, but with, of course, mustard. But there's also chicken, caramelized onions, thyme, and arugula and mustard in here. So I preheated my cast iron with this. So it's gonna sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Oh yeah. And then I haven't topped my pot pies like this before, but I saw a recipe where it looked super cute the way they did it, so I'm trying it their technique. Talking to it?
Yeah, you have talk to. What did you say?
Topped my pot pie.
Top. Oh,
Top.
you said talk to my top.
How are you, pot pie?
Like singing to your plant.
Oh yeah. My husband loves the taste of my hair. All right. Oh, I haven't egg washed this yet. Oh, I did add garlic. Yes, I did. Thank you. The garlic was kind of a last minute throw in. I wasn't sure if I was going to, but honestly, there's no reason why I shouldn't have added the garlic to it. I guess my thought was I didn't want a competing flavor with the onions. So. Oh, he thought I said talk as well. That's funny. Okay. I figure if my husband misunderstands me when I speak, it's probably the way I said it. Like, if my husband doesn't know what I'm saying, it's a me fault.
Me fault.
Me fault.
It's all me fault.
But to be fair, like, we often will listen to songs or watch commercials and will horribly mishear what they were saying. And then we'll only hear it that way from then on. I would provide some examples, but the only ones coming to mind are not appropriate. The Chipotle one, especially.
Mm.
Yeah, that one. But, you know.
HJ cilantro.
Yeah, like on the commercial, it sounds like, or like they're saying they used hand-chopped cilantro, but it sounds like a hand something else cilantro every single time. And so whenever we watch television commercials and we catch things like that where it just sounds horribly inappropriate, I don't understand why they don't show these commercials to a room full of teenage boys first. Like, I feel like companies should totally do that. Just show something to a room of teenage boys. If nobody's giggling, then you know that, you know, there's no dirty jokes in there. But also, it might be one of those things where it could hurt them too, because I'm only talking about Chipotle right now because of that commercial. Okay. But yeah, the way I saw this topped, I can't even remember the site, because like we're always so used to seeing like crisscross. And then this was basically the puff pastry cut into squares and then just like piled on top. So we'll see. We will see. And of course, like when you're making a pie as well with a top crust, you really want to make sure that there's some sort of way for it to steam. So that way everything can cook and the pie crust can bake. I'm not sure if piling like this helps because there's layers to it, but you know what? This is my first time doing this particular technique. Yeah, I'm doing a chicken pot pie. Oh yeah. With a base and caramelized onions and mustard and garlic and arugula. Liz, hey there, thank you. How are you doing? Y'all, if you're just scrolling through here, welcome to Food Talk TV. We do live cooking content every single day, and this is my show, Cutting the Mustard. And of course, I'm just seeing how long it's taken me to get to this point. Right, I might need you to get or check and make sure I have Grey's Anatomy recording. You know how mad I would be if I got off here and it wasn't recording. I have it set to where it was recording.
What channel?
Oh crap! How do I not know that? ABC maybe? Anyone know what channel Grey's Anatomy comes on?
One of the networks.
Yeah, it's one of the networks. Okay.
I can find the network.
Also, I'm sure you also have a Google.
Yeah, I don't want to Google that.
ABC. Okay. Yep. It's ABC. Thank you.
There's some things I just don't want my search.
You know, that is a good point. He said some things you don't want in your search history, and I totally get that, because if he were to have Googled that, how much content would have been like focused in on him that would be about Grey's Anatomy on his phone? No, I totally get that. Okay. So there are little spaces here and there. It's not like super spacious. I will show you what it looks like when I'm done, but I did like leave some little pockets here and there. Not a whole lot of pockets, but I did leave some. So, here. Thank you. All right, so that's what it's looking like unbaked. And for some reason that made me think, I'm like, has anyone ever made a pot pie but the top being ravioli?
Are you also recording the station 19?
Oh, could you make sure I'm doing that as well, please?
Yeah.
Thank you, husband. He's also making sure station 19 is recording. Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I was wondering, there's plenty of egg wash on it. I thought about salting the crust. No, we're gonna leave it. And then I'll check up on it 15 minutes or so. Let it crust. I also thought about doing a pot pie where instead of, I would be doing an egg wash, but like doing the puff pastry and then mixing some baking soda and water in a separate thing and like brushing that over the top, letting it dry, and then adding the egg wash. You know, trying to like pretzel it or something. So we'll see. While that's going, I'm going to attempt to make some no-bake cheesecake real quick.
Cheesecake pie.
Cheesecake pie! No, cheesecake is a pie, but the way I'm thinking about these is because I do so much baking, so much, if I were to have baked an entire cheesecake, like there's no way we would have eaten it, because I already have all these brownies and cakes and all this stuff I've been baking anyway, but I can't skip pie day. So I figured I would want to do something that I could put in my freezer, and I'm thinking freezer, but like in little mason jars. But first I have 5 tablespoons of butter I'm going to microwave. Okay. Okay, that was 7. There's about 9 in a sleeve. Oh, thank you. I did the thing with my makeup today where I had to keep taking it off because the eyeliner just kept getting bigger and bigger. Like when you keep adding eyeliner to each eye to make a match, but then you just get so much. So I did my makeup 3 different times, and I was just ready to like just throw in the towel. So I do appreciate it. The fact I have makeup on my face is amazing. All right. Oh, you can't do puff pastry, you have to use pie crust. I get that. Though I personally love puff pastry. I love the flaky. So that's totally understandable if you need pie crust instead. I'm just working on the graham cracker crust for the bottom of my things. I'm just going to go in with my hands at a certain point. I hate using food processors on live just because the sound is terrible and I hate it. So I try and do things I do by hand, but that's what she said. Yo, thank you for following me. Thank you. Well, actually, we're a collective that for Food Talk TV. I'm just live on Thursdays at 7 Central, so thank you for following so you can see me when I do lives. Page, but there's so many other creators as well, sometimes multiple times a day. But the Thursday at 7 slot is me. So thank you. Kaz, I was telling them that like it's been almost a year. I'm about to have my Food Talk birthday. That's wild to me. Oh, you're live tomorrow? Oh, yeah, you are live tomorrow. Who's the guy lurking in the background? I don't know. He just walked in and just started doing things. No, that's my husband. Little crazies that just want to be part of TikTok lives. Weirdos. Come in my house, go through my cabinets. No, he's typically not even in the background for my videos. Just, we really wanted to get this chicken done today. I was telling them the chicken that I put in my pot pie was part of like a frozen, or we buy those large bag of leg quarters and then we'll cook them and then shred the meat and then freeze it and then make stock and stuff out of the bones. And so we bought another one of those bags, but this will be the first time we're doing that process, but grilling it. Oh, you're seasoning it.
Well, yeah, I decided to take a step out of my comfort zone and not have bland chicken.
Well, to be fair, this is like meal prep work. So like, it's not that the chicken's always going to be bland. It's just that, I mean, okay, I guess like our meal prep has a specific flavor. What'd you put in there?
I put some of the ahi pancha paste in there, and I put some double soy sauce in that. Kind of roll it around for a second, and then I'm going to probably put some oregano, black peppercorn, garlic powder, whatever pink peppercorns are left in the bottom of this thing here, and cumin.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Give it a little.
Okay, except for the. I was about to say like that all seems like stuff I could throw into any dish until you said cumin.
I'm trying to like layer it with cumin. Like I would put a little bit in there.
Okay.
I'm still trying to make it versatile.
Okay. That's fine. All right. That's about my patience level with that. Okay, maybe I can handle 20 more seconds. It would be easier. It absolutely would be easier. I don't like using food processors on live because as soon as I turn it on, the noise gets all crazy. And then a bunch of people who were just enjoying me now have to hear that noise. And I know that sometimes like TikTok will redirect it to where it's just my voice that they hear rather than like the loud machines. But oftentimes whenever I turn that on, that's like when people disperse. So if anything, I probably should have done this in the food processor before I started. But you know what? I've been having fun talking. Loud noises. Thank you for telling me that. Oh, are you talking about just the whole lifting things down part of thing? Like that's why having a microwave up that high is dangerous? Because I totally get that. There's not really a whole lot of space. I mean, my kitchen has a lot of space. That is a lie. But I just have a lot of stuff in my kitchen. And so that microwave is just too big to be on the counter. And I don't use my microwave enough to warrant that. So I basically, I had someone who watched me live all the time who was in my live every day for several months. And I had to use the microwave to melt something. I don't remember what it was, but even she was super confused. Like, I have never seen you use that. So yeah, I don't use my microwave enough to warrant that or warrant having a spot down here. But thanks for letting me know to be careful. Not something that, especially since I'm on lives and I teach people how to do stuff, I would hate to like not give a warning about that kind of stuff. So. All right. I am doing some no-bake cheesecake situation because it's pie day. I have some chicken pot pie in the oven too that I did with caramelized onions, and I'm so excited about that. I do not get to do caramelized onions enough. All right, and I'm just doing these cute little jars here. Okay, so the idea for this was I wanted a dessert. I wanted something that I would be able to freeze, but like, I was really curious about whether these mason jars would freeze or not. And you can absolutely freeze them, but there are some caveats to that. One, of course, you want to make sure that any of the food that you put in there is not hot. It cannot be hot. Room temp, or even refrigerating it first and then moving it. Second thing is that it has to be straight up and down. It cannot be like this. You see how like that kind of like tapers over here? We do not want that. We want, I think, I might be wrong here. I think even the Ball website says that tapered is okay. I'll have to look into that. I think the main issue is when it is straight up shouldered out. And the reason for that is when you freeze food, the liquid expands. And so even if you leave plenty of headspace, which is another tip, you're going to want to leave plenty of headspace. But even if you leave plenty of headspace, sometimes that liquid will want to expand this way and it won't go this way. So you can still crack your jars. So another tip for that, because it does expand, you do have to leave some headspace, but also it's a good idea to freeze it without the lid to give it that opportunity. And then and once everything is frozen, that's when you add your lid. So I'm going to do a couple of these. Oh, he's doing our meal prep chicken. We got one of those large chicken quarter bags, and we often will cook the chicken and then shred the meat and freeze it. And I'll make stock out of the bones. But he decided he wanted to grill the chicken this week. And so I think that's going to be such a good stock too, that smoky chicken. Yes. I mean, it's not smoked, but it is a charcoal grill.
Kind of smoked.
Yeah, it'll have that smoky flavor without the, like.
Look at that. It's 300 degrees for what?
Kaz just said, don't Google Ball websites. Whoops. Yeah, don't do that. All right. And we're going to be easy peasy, lemon squeezy with this. I definitely want to do a big deep dive on cheesecake, but I haven't gotten there yet. But basically for the no-bake cheesecake, all you need is cream cheese filling, of course. And then lemon and vanilla, and I'm going to add some fruit. Yeah. Oh, wait, I was also going to add sweetened condensed milk. That's right. That was not the... This is how we do it. I'm calling it. This is how we do it. Alrighty. I'm gonna throw this in the can opener. I mean, I'm not throwing it, but it's there. We are interactive, a little too interactive. Okay. All right. I feel like I missed some comments here. Oh, do I know how to make my own cream cheese? So I know with making my own cream cheese, I believe with cream cheese, it's milk and heavy cream and lemon juice with that, right? But what I do instead of making my own cream cheese, which I do make my own cream cheese sometimes, but because I love those kind of things. I need to do a fridge clean out. There we go. But this is labneh. This is something that I've made and something I've been using. So it's not cream cheese, it's yogurt cheese. And this is a Middle Eastern kind of thing they do. I made this from scratch using milk that was about to go bad. So I just turned it into this. And so in order to turn yogurt into Greek yogurt, you just put it in a strainer over a bowl, or strainer, cheesecloth bowl, let that sit in your fridge for a few hours. But to get it to that consistency, you just let it strain for, I think I let that strain for days, but.
Yeah, several
days, yeah. Like, it was questionable how long I left it there. But it's just this nice, like, it's like tangier than cream cheese. It's so freaking good. Huge fan of that. I need to post about it at some point and talk to y'all about it because so freaking good. I just love yogurt cheese now. Oh yeah, my Food Talk homies, or my FTTV homies, are going to be leaving here in a minute because they are going to be doing a live talking about the Food Talk TV and the Creator Network and discussing basically what the Creator Network is and why it's valuable to join and all that. So they will be having kind of an open table discussion. I was in there a couple of nights. I was one of the people discussing it. Okay, I'll show y'all what it looks like because it is bubbling, but it doesn't. Feel like it could be more brown. We will try to bake it a little longer and see how that puff pastry goes. I did read the reviews of the pot pie. Like, it wasn't. I'm not using their pot pie. I'm just using their crust idea. I read one review where they said that they couldn't get the puff pastry to cook. But there were also so many great reviews where they didn't have that problem. So, yeah, it was just the one review, but, What's Ryan making? We've been doing meal prep for chicken. Like, we'll get chicken quarters because those bags are so cheap. But he is just cooking all of them on the grill. So we'll have a nice grill flavor with those. We'll shred the meat and then make stock from the bones. And I have like 2 cups of chicken in here, but I used the last of my bag to make it. So he's helping me replenish my chicken stock.
And it's supposed to rain here tomorrow. So
yes, and it's just been so beautiful out.
Trying to take advantage of that weather.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's fake spring right now. Where we all think that the winter is over and life is great, but then turns out it's still winter.
Tennessee has like multiple winters.
Yeah, we have okay.
I call them the old man winters. Like,
old man winters?
Yeah,
okay.
There's like blackberry winter, and there's like...
I see where I didn't cut this correctly.
I can't remember any of them. Yeah. Blackberry winter's one. And the last one I remember is Rich's winter. And those are basically like single days every couple of weeks where it's going to get more freezing.
Oh, yeah. No, sometimes Ryan will actually be part of the show, like for a special episode. He'll be over here being part of it. And we have a Food Talk TV apron just for him, though it says my name on it. I was wanting to chop these up a little bit. Whew. You know what? Because the way that I'm doing this recipe is like, I was planning on the fruit still being frozen. I didn't want to add a whole lot of work to thaw it out, but I think for me personally, I would like my fruit to be in smaller pieces. I know I talked a lot about not liking using machines on lives, but I feel like this one's quiet enough. You know, I don't think deer is an exotic meat, but that's a, you know, we're in the South. Like, that's not an exotic meat for us. Well, there is this restaurant that's in Nashville that's pretty close to us that specializes in like, not specialize in it, they just serve some weird game. And so my husband and I are huge UT fans, UT Knoxville fans, and so every year they have a game against the Florida Gators. Oh yeah, the chicken that he's prepping before it goes on the grill. Beautiful. But like, we have a friend who's a Gators fan, so like every year we taunt each other about the Vols and Gators, but they serve gator tails in like little bites. And so we've tried that. Gator is okay. It's just chewy chicken, but I don't know. I'm not really much on the whole exotic meat department, but there is this one website where I would look up that you can actually order this stuff, and I think this website was selling an ostrich egg for like $100 or something like that, and I always thought that I would order it one day because I really am desperate. I would love to cook with an ostrich egg, but that would also be so scary to cook with that because that's $100 egg you're gonna ruin, you know. And so well, hopefully you're not gonna ruin. So one year for Christmas, my brother got me he got me an A5 Wagyu steak, right? It was a filet, and it was sent to me from Japan in dry ice, and sent to me all the way from Japan, and it was a very expensive, like, just a tiny steak. If you've never seen an A5 steak, like, it is a regular steak, but it's just, like, so much more heavily marbled. It is exotic. It is like eating butter. It is amazing, and he got me that for Christmas one year, and I was so excited to use it. But I was also terrified. Like, it was one of my most terrifying cooking experiences of my life. And I've been live in front of 18,000 people. Like, it was so terrifying because it was just such a beautiful cut. But it was very much so just like high sear, leave it basically raw, but it was amazing. Like, and it was such a small steak, but it's just so rich that, like, we were fine sharing it and having other stuff. Like, we weren't fine sharing it, like, filling wise, but we were fine with how rich it was. You know, I've never cooked a steak in the air fryer before. Never done it. Do a quick little mixy mix.
Should do an air fryer beef Wellington.
Ooh. Would that be one of those things that would really upset Gordon Ramsay?
Yeah. Make sure you send it.
Oh, I always put a little bit of salt. Grey's Anatomy is starting, so I'm sure, like, my Grey's Anatomy homies are gone. So hopefully my pot pie's done soon so I can get on it. But I have more graham cracker crust too. I'll let y'all know how much this fills when we post the recipe, because it will be on Food Talk TV either today, tomorrow, foodtalktv.com. Okay, that is not going to work. I do not feel like I have the hands for that. I'll have to try that. But for cheap cuts of steak, I use sous vide. But that is such a niche product that I understand that people aren't going to purchase a sous vide unless, like, you're that type of person. Like, it's a very specifically nerdy kitchen community that I would totally do more sous vide content if there was more of an audience for it, but there's really not. And I get it. It's not an everyday product. It's not. You can totally cook things without it. Oh, so a sous vide, it is spelled S-O-U-S space and then vide, F-I-D-E. It is a French word and it means under vacuum. So I keep calling it a sous vide. It's technically an immersion circulator, a sous vide machine. Sous vide is just the technique that means under vacuum. That's what it translates to, under vacuum. And what it is you Ziploc food, whether it be meat or veg, or I'll even infuse spirits this way too. But then you put it, vacuum seal bag, and then you put it in this container of water, and the sous vide machine or the immersion circulator is the heating element that heats the water to the exact temperature that you want it. So whenever you're cooking steak, you would set the exact temperature you want. In my case, I would probably to 125, maybe even a few degrees lower, and cook it. And it's going to take longer to cook. It's going to take like an hour or two to cook like a, simple steak, so it does take forethought. That's why I said it's probably not a super popular thing, but it's perfect every single time. And then you just do a high sear and perfect. One thing I did on this show, and I have a recipe for it on the Food Talk TV website. I did this on Food Talk once, where I got it was a chuck roast or something. It was a chuck roast, and I put it in the sous vide for 24 hours at 125. Or no, I'm sorry, I don't do 125. I do 132 for that. And the reason is like when you get 130 and below, that's when you get into like safety. You get in the danger zone area, right? But 132 is like the lowest you can go for long-term cooks. But I did a chuck roast at 132, 24 hours. And then I put it in an ice bath and I seared it, but I served it like a prime rib, even though it was a chuck roast. You guys. Okay, so we have the little cheesecakes here. I'm going to freeze these, and I'm going to add some whipped topping to them. Okay. I like this. I'm excited for this. I feel like maybe this part could go just a little bit longer. Maybe if I give it like 2 more minutes. Not 32. I said 3 or 2, and yeah. No matter. You know what? I was going to make whipped cream for my cheesecake things, but I'm going to freeze these first. And I'm going to freeze them without the lid on because frozen food does expand. So we're going to let this freeze. And then once the ingredients are frozen, then I'm going to add the lid. But yeah, basically I have cheesecake, frozen cheesecake that's going to be ready. Once the ingredients are frozen, then I'm going to add the lid. But yeah, basically I have cheesecake, frozen cheesecake that's going to be ready. Hi there. I have no idea what happened there. Just my entire TikTok app just decided, but it's okay. I'm back. Like the entire app just shut down. And then I went back on the app and it asked me if I would like to continue my live. But of course, I don't think anyone who is here is everyone. Hi. I think the people who were here are still here. Yay. So yeah, I'm not going to make whipped cream for these yet because I am going to let these freeze. These don't have to go in the freezer. They can also go in the fridge. I just figured something freezer for the longevity of it. But like if you've ever seen the inside of my freezer, I am an ingredient household in my freezer. Okay, yeah, mine was kind of lagging too. And I thought it was my internet too. Okay, so that was everybody. That was everybody's. Okay, good. So yeah, for the whipped cream, all you need is cream. And then I'll use one of these heavy mixers. Sometimes I'll throw in vanilla extract. Sometimes I'll throw in honey or simple syrup or even just confectioner sugar, powdered sugar. And I'll put some of that in there just to make whipped cream. You just want to make sure you don't overbeat it just because that's when you separate the milk fat out. And that's how we do the butter and buttermilk making. So you don't want to over whip, but just enough. And another good tip for that is to keep your bowl in the fridge or the freezer before you go, because having that bowl cold will make it whip better. I'm actually close to being finished, but I just made these it's pie day, so I'm making all sorts of pie stuff. I did these no-bake cheesecakes that didn't take me long at all. It's just cheesecake filling, lemon. I did a tablespoon lemon juice, about a teaspoon vanilla extract, a 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk, and an 8-ounce thing of cream cheese, pinch of salt. I also added some cut up frozen fruit in here. My idea is I'm going to put these in the freezer, but of course I'm going to freeze them with the lid off first. And then once it's frozen, then I will add the lid. Hey there. If you're just scrolling through, welcome to Food Talk TV. We do go live every single day, and we do cooking content every day, sometimes multiple times a day. I'm Taylor Rose, also known as the Mustard Queen, and my show is on Thursdays at 7 Central. I'm thinking about changing it, though. I say that a lot. I've never changed it. That's a lie. Okay. Okay, I gotta move these things. This recipe will be on the Food Talk TV website, whether it will be tomorrow or the day after. Typically, it's like the day after, but as soon as I say it will be on there tomorrow, that's when we're not able to edit the website, but it will be on here, and we'll talk about that. Oh, yes. He's my boy. But oftentimes when I'm in the kitchen cooking, he will come over here. It's around dinner time. It's close to dinner time. He'll come over here looking to see if I dropped anything. So he's trying to be helpful. I am so excited how pretty this looks. I was so nervous because I haven't topped a pot pie like this before. I've done puff pastry, but typically I'll do puff pastry in like as a overall sheet, or I'll do it in strips. But I cut these into squares first, rolled them out and cut them into squares, and just kind of piled them up on top. And I love it. It also kind of gives like different textures of the crust. Like some parts are going to be crispier than others. I'm just obsessed. I love this technique. I'll totally be doing it again. Maybe I'll try it when I make my own. I'm trying to put time on it to be pretty. But I'm going to be going into making my own puff pastry. So we'll see if I can keep topping things with puff pastry like it. But I love it. Huge fan. Can't wait to share this recipe for y'all. And this is just such an easy throw stuff in there. Another thing I did in here, I caramelized the onions. There are 3 onions that I caramelized. I started an hour before y'all got here because it does take that long. But I took the time to do it so I could caramelize the onions. There's also a couple tablespoons of mustard in here that really helps to cut some of that richness. And I made a roux with about a 1/4 cup of butter and a 1/4 cup of flour. And then there's garlic. I think that was everything I put in there. Arugula. I don't know if I mentioned the arugula, but do I ever make vegetarian recipes? Sometimes I do, and sometimes that's completely an accident. However, I do have a lot of friends and loved ones who are vegan, and I love cooking vegan food. And I used to like do vegan, like not vegan catering, but I used to have family meal at this restaurant I worked at. And I was a server that made, or I was a server / bartender that made the family meal, if that says how, that says anything. But there were a few vegans, and I would always make sure to take my stuff and like find a way to make it vegan. So I would absolutely love to make sure that I have some vegetarian recipes on there as well, because I love vegan cooking. I love it. I love vegetables. I love produce. And I don't think when people think of vegan food, they think of it as great. I think people just think of it as, hey, I'm missing out on something, but I don't think that should be the case at all. There are plenty of vegan ingredients that are delicious enough to speak for themselves. So yeah, you know what? I will write that down and make sure I start including some of that stuff some more. Here lately, I've just been kind of cooking based off of what I have available. So I'm definitely going to be, because I do love cooking stuff with beans. I know that's not the only thing vegans eat, but I'm obsessed with bean dishes and how, like, that being the main thing. And tofu, I love a good fried tofu. I was actually a vegetarian for 9 years of my life. Now, this was well before I've started cooking, and I'm not a vegetarian or vegan anymore. I just can't have a restrictive diet. But I think it's kind of like recycling and stuff, to where I wish people would treat it more as a do what you can kind of thing, and not as an all or nothing situation, right? Like when it comes to conserving things, or like recycling and being better about those things. Sometimes it's you do all you can, but then you miss a couple of spots. But I think I definitely want to pursue that a bit more, because I've always said that I'm not vegan, but I like to do those things in my life, and I wish it was a as I can kind of thing. Oh, you don't like any kind of meat? That's weird. Oh, someone said, make me get a job. Get a job or I'm going to yell at you. Mom says. Okay, y'all. So Grey's Anatomy has been on for 15 minutes. It is recording, so I'm going to be okay. But I'm going to go watch that. This recipe will be on there. Okay. Yeah, I totally get what you mean. It's easier to say vegetarian. But yeah, I will and this could have been done with beans instead of chicken, absolutely. But y'all, I am gonna head out. Unless there's final things. Okay. This will be on the Food Talk TV website. Make sure you're following us, so that way you get alerted whenever I come live, or some of our other wonderful creators come on live, because it's every single day. Mine's on Thursday at 7 Central. Thank you so much for joining Cutting the Mustard. I will see y'all next week. Happy mustarding.